Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular council meeting of August 12th, 2025. I call the meeting to order at 5:34, and I would like to ask Clerk Eric for the roll call, please.
Mercelny.
Present.
Rivimo.
Present.
Councillor Legree.
Present.
Councillor McWhirter.
Present.
Councillor McDonald.
Present.
Councillor Sobalski. Councillor Dick. Mercelny, we have quorum.
Thank you. As we gather, we would like to acknowledge on behalf of Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all of the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Can I please have you stand for O Canada? Any declaration of interest? Hearing and seeing none. Moving on to public meeting delegations presentations. All right, I'd like to turn it over to the CAO, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a quarterly report for the second quarter of the year, focusing on the activities of all departments between April and June. The staff and departments have been very busy over the last few months, and some of our most notable developments and activities have been noted within our report. We've tried to make the report a little more accessible and easier to maneuver around for those who are looking at it online, either through the agenda or eventually on our website. One of the first things that we had to tackle was the strong mayor legislation that came in effect May 1st after a very short 2-week window that they provided for public comment. So we are now part of the 49% of the province who is under that legislation. And there was a lot of work that the staff and council had to go under for some training and establishing processes and protocols that did take up a good chunk of our time during the quarter. Also during this quarter, we passed the budget for 2025 formally on May 13th. It was a challenging but a very thoughtful process. Council had a very difficult set of decisions that needed to be made, but they did manage to end with a tax increase of just less than 1.2 million. A large portion of that was because of debt payments. The new tax-supported debt payments was just shy of 1.4 million. So in order for us to get that 1.4 million down to less than the 1.2 million that was actually tax levied, we applied $145,000 credit from the OPP, and we managed to find $81,000 worth of savings across the departments. This resulted in a residential tax rate that on the average household with an assessed value of $171,000, you'll be seeing approximately a $212 increase for the whole year. Some of the departmental highlights you'll see throughout the report and in my message. Some of the key ones, we've been going through records management processes, processing information requests from the public. We've been converting accounting and budget software over in the finance department while managing a vacancy for the treasurer and director of finance corporate services role. We've had several planning and building applications that have come in. We've opened the seasonal opening of the household hazardous waste depot. We constructed a new hiking trail. In the fire department, there was lots of training, one specific fire ground survival training that was done in partnership with the Renfrew Professional Firefighters Association, I believe is the proper name. Been several bylaw investigations that have been ongoing. We've had the seasonal opening of the McDougall Mill Museum. The library launched in June, near the end, their kickoff party for their summer reading program that we'll hopefully be able to read more about in Q3 report. And the recreation staff have been preparing for their summer camp programming. There's been lots of construction projects that were getting started and underway during Q2, including the Mattaway Park Drive water main replacement, the continuation of 8th Street, and continuation of Dominion Street, as well as sidewalk installations and the final lift for Argyle and Lochiel project. In addition, we've been going through the policy reviews and have managed 19 different policies in the first half of the year, and there were 9 on the original schedule still for the second half of the year, plus any new ones that might come up at that time. I just wanted to make it clear that I'm very proud of all the staff and council and all of the work that has been done over the last few months. We've managed to still provide exceptional service while staying within our budget constraints. And our focus as we continue on into Q3 is focusing on the priorities that had been set out in our corporate work plan for the year while continuing to enhance our service delivery. So that is my CAO message, and the next department that is in the report, so we can pass it over, is the Community and Recreation Services and Library, so we'll pass that to the director.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. So I use the wonderful tool of AI to take all of my departments and try to put this into a little bit more of a quicker synopsis. I know there's lots of information, so I'm just going to try to hit some of the main stuff. So for Community and Rec, we had 2,730 program registrations, which was nearly double the Q2 in 2024. 44 programs and events were hosted with 238 sessions and 555.25 hours of activity. As the CAO mentioned, a big part of it was the preparation for the Canada Day celebrations, which went very well. The Colour Fun Run in partnership with Renfrew Public Library and Pride, Renfrew Pride, National Indigenous Peoples Day with the Montreal Algonquins First Nations. Then we also did started planning for Music in the Park and a pre-Canada Day ball tournament. Summer Camp Day registration opened May 1st, and multiple weeks were sold out within the first hour. For the facilities and usage, over 7,500 hours of facility usage was across our arenas, courts, fields, and rooms. This generated approximately $161,000 in revenue. The fitness center saw over 11,000 fob swipes and a high cardio machine use. The community garden at Oddfellows Park was fully booked with a wait list for 2026. And then just a couple of upcoming, we have Art in the Park that's being prepped and will be happening on September 13th, and a volunteer fair is being planned for October 28th. For staff development, we had multiple certifications completed, including refrigeration, safety, and chainsaw awareness. And we had 10 summer students hired across recreation and community services for the summer. The library in Q2 had over 10,000 recorded entries using the door sensors. We added 154 new patrons. And over 11,000 physical items were checked out of the library, and 6,900 e-resources were accessed. In the programming at the library, 68 programs were held with 602 attendees, and we had 16 class visits, which hosted about 290 students. Adult department had 51 programs with about 525 attendees and hosted inclusive events like the Language Carousel Storytime, Tech Tuesdays, and Local Authors Days. The library is currently working on the new strategic plan, which started work in Q2 and is continuing. Outreach, we continue to deliver items to seniors' homes, hospice, and homebound patrons, expanded some of the collections, including large print and our BIPOC collection, and we launched the Golden Growth the Seniors Project, which included the addition of a sensory garden at the library and tech engagement. The museum hosted in June 463 visitors, which was a 68% increase over the same time period last year. The main floor of the museum was rearranged to expand visitor information services, and a new customer service desk was added. And I want to note that that was not new furniture that was purchased, it was reused from another department. There was also, we started a new brochure launched with the town branding, and a feather flag was installed by the Riverside for visibility, and apparently it's worked quite well. The summer schedule includes events every Saturday in July and August, as well as some evening programs. For the facility, 2 ceiling fans and new electrical receptacles were installed. Currently, the museum is developing digital content which will be put onto a platform called Bloomberg Connects, which is going to improve both accessibility and visitor experience to the items in the museum. The museum had 6 students hired and trained, and 3 summer student grants. Economic development, we were able to award to 3 real estate firms to begin looking at selling of surplus land, and an interactive map of potential surplus properties was created for circulation. Some of the big stuff was the final prep for the acoustic panels at the Medicine Wheel. Tenders are underway for roof and roof replacements at the Town Garage and One Innovation, and 550 Hall roof replacement was completed. I think that's all the highlights for me. Thank you.
Great. Any questions? No, let's move on. I will hand it over to Director Withers now.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney. May was Building Safety Month, promoted that on social media. Pleased to report that site plan approval was issued and implementation is moving forward on several larger developments, Dollarama, the Shoppers, which is currently under construction, and Bonnechere Manor, all of which were approved during the quarter. The Renfrew secondary plan was approved by the county during the quarter. We produced an office consolidation of the zoning bylaw during that quarter. We undertook our annual reporting for water and wastewater capacity, drafted a revised fenced bylaw, given that our current bylaw is quite outdated and needs some revisions. Drafted a parkland dedication bylaw, which is undergoing legal review. We anticipate bringing that forward within the next couple of council meetings. Finalized the new landfill ECA for the revised final contours, which is a condition precedent to the landfill work for the steep slopes. The Bonnechere River Trail was opened. We continue to work with the MTO on the 417 project and the status of that, and continue to coordinate with the county on their various initiatives related to development of their property within the town. In terms of building permit statistics, year to date, we are above last year. Last year was quite slow, so I would say we are back on trend. We're not where the COVID years where it was money was very, very cheap, but we are back to trend. I'm pleased to report. And building permit fees and lot development fees and development charges are healthy this year. In terms of planning, we have a steady rate of new planning applications, including consents, minor variances, zoning, and the 3 approved site plan approval applications. In terms of environmental services, we constructed over 1,200 meters of hiking trail, planted about 150 trees. In terms of our landfill transactions. We are slightly below our transactions year to date, but we are above our tipping fees as a result of 2 demolition projects requiring, that resulted in some pretty significant tipping fees, and we're at about 51% of expected annual revenue in Q2, which is right on track. We have had 4 water main service repairs as of the quarter. We'll note though that those water main breaks have been relatively minor in nature compared to some of the ones that we had last year, which were very significant breaks. Moving forward, for the rest of the year, we are looking at continuing the official plan review. There has been some delays as a result of coordination required with the master servicing plan. The scope of that project has changed on a couple of occasions, so we've kind of needed to align our schedule for the official plan review. We do hope to have a draft official plan in Q4 of this year with the final version to council for approval in Q1 of 2026. In terms of the new landfill hours, we're happy to report that we, on average, are receiving about 42 customers a day on Fridays, which is the new landfill opening day. We've had about 504 customers visiting the landfill on Friday, which is always a positive to see. Moving forward on the planning side, continuing with title cleanup and land transfers for the wastewater treatment plant, which is an ongoing matter. Working on the Bonachère Manor MOU for their 40-unit modular housing development. Working on some new Planning Act application forms. And I think that summarizes our quarter. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Director Withers? Review?
Thank you. And this is kind of for Director Withers, but also for our treasurer and our CEO to consider. Last year, our fees to the landfill went up somewhat higher than we'd expected, and this year they may level out or they may dip. Should we establish a reserve to put the overage in to level out the lean years, similar to what some municipalities do with their winter removal programs?
So through you, Mayor, that is a tactic that is a good way of smoothing unusual increases and setting them aside for future needs. As some of the public may know, but maybe not everyone, for every landfill that a municipality has, they are required to eventually close it. There's a lot of work involved, and then they have to monitor it typically for a minimum of 25 years. Sometimes that's extended depending on the actual testing results. Rare occasions it can be shortened. And so some places do use that tactic where if you have excess revenues in a single year from expectation on tipping fees, they're set aside in a reserve to help fund that future cost. Other ones use it to just help with other unexpected costs that happen during the year. It is something that council could consider looking at, establishing a policy and a process that for any of those type of ones for certain types of departments like the landfill, that those excess surpluses get set aside in a certain way, or it could be done on an ad hoc basis by individual motions of council.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing and seeing none, I will now hand it over to Acting Treasurer Mitchell Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Council, the Finance and Corporate Services Department has been very busy implementing and catching up the new software, plural, and getting those up to date, getting those implemented. Some of the conversion data did not go as smooth as probably anticipated or hoped would be the keyword, but staff are working to get everything caught up via manual journal entry or updating some of the information that was actually imported rather than doing journal entries. Outside of that, there was the final installment of the interim tax bill that was due in May, so we received a significant amount of payments there. budget was passed early in Q2 as well. Just some key notes or key statistics. The taxes receivable as of the end of Q2, June 30, was $2 million and some change. Utilities receivables, or also known as water and sewer, $133,000, and accounts receivable, so any invoicing we do outside of taxes and water sewer, was $196,000. Of the taxes receivables, we don't have the breakdown on here, but there are a few significant properties that actually make up about $500,000 of that. It's worth noting that they are far along in the tax sale process, and council will see something on that in the near future, so just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Looking ahead, the final tax bills went out the first week of July, so that was early in Q3. User fees were anticipated to be updated at the end of August 2025. Update the procurement policy in Q3. Several of the modules are live with the financial software, so we are using it and running it parallel, so to speak. So we're entering stuff in the current software as well as a new one, looking for efficiencies and procedures and processes that are different from our previous software. So it's good, but it's just a little bit more time consuming than probably once thought, but that's okay. So we're all learning it together. Budgeting software has been set for Q3. We've been in discussion with the FMW to get that going, get a port to the Vatimai City data, so that's up and running as well. Staff have been starting to plan for the 2026 budget in Q3, so something to look forward to as well. And then, as discussed at one of the previous meetings, the asset management plan, we're continuously reviewing and maintaining that, as well as reviewing our assets that are identified in current software and TCA schedules, just to make sure all the data is accurate. And last but not least, in Q2 we were looking for a new treasurer. In Q3 we will have a new treasurer, so happy to report that out as well.
Thank you. Any questions for the acting treasurer? Seeing none. All right. I will now hand it over to Director Guest.
Thank you, and to you, Mr. Mayor, to all of Council. This is a brief overview of the Fire Emergency and Protective Services Department. In terms of fire training, the Renfrew Fire Department full-time firefighters focused on the topics of auto extrication, nozzle forward, RIT and self-rescue, ground ladders, ventilation, and numerous other topics. I'd like to highlight a training that the CEO had already mentioned. In May, the Renfrew Professional Firefighters Association, and this is the association that represents our local full-time firefighters. So they were able to secure fireground survival training props from the International Association as well as the Ontario, allowing firefighters to complete fireground survival training at the MyFM Centre. So this fireground survival training program is the most comprehensive survival skills and Mayday prevention program currently available in the province of Ontario. Typically, most of our training focuses on civilian rescues or rescuing people that are trapped in fires, as well as essential firefighting skills. They don't typically focus on what happens when our staff get trapped, or what we call a Mayday situation. So this training focused on firefighter self-rescue and survival techniques, and the purpose is to ensure that all of our staff have Mayday prevention and Mayday operations consistent across all of our crews. Our firefighters must be trained to perform potentially life-saving actions if they become lost, disoriented, injured, low on air, or trapped. Without access to these props and the support of Ontario Professional Firefighters Association, our crews would not have had the opportunity to learn these life-saving skills. Each of the skill sets and props were based on tragic firefighter injuries or death. Special thanks to the staff at Public Works as well as the MyFM Centre for all their help and support. Our volunteer fire crews focused on the topics of water supply principles, portable pumps, fire hydrant connections and operations, ventilation practice and principles. In terms of public education, as always, promoting fire safety and public education is critical to any fire prevention program. In June, students at St. Joseph's Catholic School in Renfrew gained invaluable insight into firefighting professional skills through hands-on training. This is part of their Specialist High Skills Major, or the Shazam program, which they offer annually. It aims to encourage and develop students interested in skills. This immersive experience allowed students to directly engage with the tools and techniques and our firefighters. Fire safety messaging tips. In April, we focused on safe cooking practices. So we discussed loose clothing when cooking over open flames. In May, we discussed smoke alarms. There is a life expectancy on all our smoke alarms. So this is a reminder that you can check yours. Typically, it's 10 years, and there's an end of service life. In June, summer break is, well, it's half past now, but there's typically more traveling on the roads, and there is more car fires, and we just gave some helpful tips in the unfortunate event if your car does happen to catch fire. In terms of inspection and enforcement, our department received several complaints regarding fire safety concerns, including occupants tampering with fire alarm system components, emergency lighting not functioning properly, fire doors wedged and blocked open, commercial cooking deficiencies, and several smoke alarm deficiency calls. Our crews have also been busy with our annual door-to-door smoke alarm program, ensuring every home has working smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. We also take this opportunity to highlight other fire prevention safety tips, such as safe cooking, fire extinguishers, and the importance of having home escape plans. Moving on to bylaw parking enforcement. A total of 169 parking tickets were issued between April to June of 2025, and that's down a little bit from last year at the same time. In terms of property standards and clean yards, throughout the quarter, numerous issues were dealt with. Topics such as large piles of refuge and garbage, overgrowth of grass and weeds, rodents and pests, derelict vehicles on properties. Bylaw also responded to 22 complaints regarding cats and dogs and other pest-related issues. Our bylaw officer also attended the PAWS seminar in Horton Township. And as the school year ends, we want to wish our dedicated team of crossing guards a much needed vacation and wish them all the best for the summer and hope to see them in September. Under emergency management, as always, safety tips and important updates are always issued. Emergency Preparedness Week, the event took place and has been taking place for over 25 years, and this year it was from May 4th to May 10th, with the theme being planned for every season. So topics such as the 72-hour kit, make a plan, alert ready, some helpful tips on power outage and food safety, children and emergency preparedness, and also we can't forget our pets. Key stats for the fire department: there were a total of 54 emergency responses between the months of April and June, down from 61 calls from the previous year. Under strategic plan and corporate plan progress, staff are reviewing and updating the emergency response plan. Staff have begun planning for our annual emergency exercise. The review of the parking bylaw is complete, and a draft was presented to council in April and passed in June. And I think that's all I'll note for today. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Review?
No questions, just a comment. 2 firefighters attended my house as part of their smoke alarm and CO2 campaign. I wasn't there, but my wife reports that they were extremely polite, and we were fortunate that I had changed all of them when their date was due probably 2 years ago, so we were in good shape. She was pleasantly surprised that was the case, but thank you very much to the staff. They were extremely extremely pleasant to deal with, and I think surprised when she told them who she was as well, so it was pretty funny.
Any other questions? No? All right, so we will move on to Director Bishop.
Through you, Mayor, to all of Council. So for the Department of Infrastructure, Public Works and Engineering, construction started up in Q2. So 8th Street and Dominion Street were ongoing from 2024. Those projects started in Q2 and are near completion at this point. The Mattaway Park Drive water main replacement project was released to tender and awarded to BEI. It has since started. And as CAO Raybone mentioned, the Argyle sidewalks between Monroe and Patrick were completed as part of the Argyle-Lockhill project. And then as a finalized project for O'Brien Road in some of the deficiencies were complete, but that is at this point not totally finished yet. So those are for construction. I'll just mention now that an upcoming project is Stevenson Crescent, that should be starting in the next few weeks. Design projects, we have ongoing project meetings and reviews to get to the tender-ready stage for 2026 and beyond, which are ongoing and started in Q2 as well. Under Public Works, there was some storm cleanup and tree removal. Sidewalk repairs started. Signs were installed for the new parking bylaw on Hall Avenue and Lockhill Street. Pothole maintenance and repair work using cold patch and hot mix. Annual vehicle safety inspections took place. Damaged signs and signposts were repaired. The watering unit, which was included as part of the capital budget, was purchased and has been since used for watering flowers in the downtown area. Public Works started cutting grass, whipping, and tree brushing in the spring, as well as street sweeping throughout the town and storm system repairs. So some key statistics from Public Works were that 200 locates were completed in Q2. There were 9 water meter replacements, 25 tons of hot mix used, and 35 days included hours towards patching in Q2. AccuLines has completed much of the annual line painting throughout the town, and the ACE GPS software was installed and is now operational in Public Works vehicles. So for strategic plan and corporate plan progress, we are prioritizing infrastructure renewal. The capital budget was finalized and approved projects were started. And for asset management, the asset management plan was updated to include our 2025 requirements and was presented to Council on June 24th by Steve Keeley. Our look ahead includes preparation for and continuation of our 2025 capital projects. The Mattaway Park Drive replacement project that has started as well. Stevenson, as I mentioned, is to begin. The tender for 7th Street should be out shortly, and that is a quick project that we'll try to get done in the fall. Continued sign replacement and installations as per the new parking bylaw throughout town. Small sidewalk repairs, ongoing landscaping work, including grass cutting, whipping, trimming, and the downtown horticulture. And then as well as our tenders for capital budget approved equipment and vehicles. Working group and team updates. We did revise the membership of the asset management steering team. We had summer students return and 1 summer student start at the garage as well. And some of our staff had attended training courses in Q2. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Director Councillor McWhirter?
Through you, Your Worship, for Director Bishop. I keep getting asked about the roundabout out at the other end. You can't see past it. I know in Canada, the ones down there that they have, you can see they don't have it sub-built up. You can see what's coming from the other way. Is there any plans, or are we done with that right now, or is there any plans to do anything like that, or put flowers in there? Because it was looking pretty scruffy there for a while. I'm just wondering.
Through you, Mayor. So this has been brought up a few times now over the past couple months, and it doesn't look as it's supposed to in the end, but we are working through those deficiencies right now. There is some more landscaping to be done, and it's just being maintained for now, but there is a final plan, and it should be complete, hopefully when we get these deficiencies done sooner than later. We've had a couple holdups on that roundabout, but that design is particularly from the consultant, BTE, and there is a reason for that higher mound than what you would see in Canada.
Any other questions? Review?
I can also add that I had asked some questions about it, got some answers. So what I did was I called MTO because I understand there's a bit of a holdup with MTO on it, and was assured they would make efforts to resolve the issues that they had to resolve and get back to us very quickly.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you. And I will now, oh, sorry, review.
I think this is a question for Director Bishop, Director Withers, and Director Latondras, all at the same time. The wall or face of the waste site that's on Bruce Street, that whole length, is there a means of cutting down some of those snotty little weeds that are growing there as well as the hay? Because, you know, I think it is part of the town. It's a town asset, and I think we should try and beautify it at some point in the future. But when you drive by it, it looks like kind of like an abandoned gravel pit instead of what it actually is. So if there's a chance of making that hillside a little more appealing, I think we should investigate it. Thank you.
Director Withers?
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mayor Sidney. We'll definitely look into that. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Hearing and seeing that. All right, I will now turn it over to Director Ehret.
Thank you, Mayor. So with regards to legislative services and council relations, overall there has been lots of activity going on within the department. Main focus in Q2 has kind of been records management. We've successfully completed kind of the Tom Rooms classification with all the internal drives, like our computer drives. However, we're starting to move forward with getting the digital files moved over and getting a consistency across all the departments. We've now met with kind of each of the departments to come up with a plan, which is all going to be filtered in through a records management policy that'll be coming forward to council either later this year or early next year. This overall records management is kind of a 2025 to 2027 project. So we're slow going right now as we get things in place, but starting to definitely make progress. Our records management student started in early May. Their primary objective has been to help kind of inventory and categorize all the physical files that we do have here with the town. Lots of work's been got into that. They've certainly been working through the amount of boxes that we have, and obviously will kind of be their project being completed more near the end of the summer. And again, we'll filter through our overall records retention and ensure that we're meeting legislation on that. With regards to accessibility, we have been taking a look at modernizing kind of processes here within the town, as well as ensuring that documents that are going out to the public meet certain criteria. We've also, and this ties into one of our services that we provide, but we've been working with the province to get our marriage license modernization set up so that all applications can be done online, and this has been quite successful. It certainly has increased significantly the amount of applications that we have been getting, but also making it much easier for members of the public to submit, not just local residents, but also others in the area. Policy updates, we've had several key ones over the last few months, as most of you know. Certainly everything from our social media policy to council and staff relations, municipal complaint, and our routine disclosure, which was a new policy. Elections, shockingly enough, we're getting even closer to next year's election. So certainly there's been lots in the works and behind the scenes to get everything up and running and in time in preparation for next year. I've been working and actually I've been sharing with the Renfrew County. We have a working group. So I've been kind of leading the charge on that. Lots of discussions and making sure we're all sharing resources and kind of troubleshooting as we go we've also released our joint RFP for the internet, telephone, and tabulator voting system. That's in collaboration with, I believe, 9 other municipalities within the county. So it's good. It's been great to work together with the group and kind of, again, troubleshoot together and brainstorm and come up with some great ideas. And again, more to follow on that, obviously, as we move even closer to elections. Our ever so favorite freedom of information, lots going on in that department. We've been working through different requests that have come in. That also has been very helpful with our routine disclosure policy that we did implement and kind of giving more strategic guidelines as to what is accessible and kind of timelines and setting expectations. Strong mayor legislation has thrown us all for a little bit of a curveball, but we've been doing lots of training on that and working our way through. I think we've got some great processes in place, and we'll continue to learn as we go, in so many words. As council knows, we've also updated our procedural bylaw. We've incorporated lots of changes that have been going on just in council and how we've been kind of operating with our meetings, tweaking a few things that may not have been working, but also just doing some updates that are pretty, I'd say, pretty critical, and having a new CAO also adds a fresh set of eyes. Communications, we continue to engage with the public using different platforms, been targeting with radio and newspaper advertisement, our social media, and then also our B-City app. Certainly trying to get the message out there. Our traditional way of media has been reduced and will continue to be reduced, but finding new ways to engage with the public is always important. Overall, and again, I know the public knows this as well as you guys. All this information obviously is available on the agenda packages, but there's our key statistics. I won't go into too much of them. Lots of death registrations, marriage license registrations. We've had several ceremonies here at the town hall. Again, things are being utilized. Lots of regular council meetings as well as special council meetings, which just certainly take up our time, as well as our document access requests. And I'm proud to say that we have over 1,000 boxes inventoried, and that was just within that start of the Q2. That's not mentioning even the ones that we have for the remainder of the summer. So then I think just to give a quick other recap with regards to the strategic plan, as I said, the records management, we've started it, but this is a multi-year program, so we're kind of in the initial stages. Our marriage license modernization, we're almost complete, and you'll get a further update on that in our Q3. And our bylaw records update, we're getting there. That's mostly a cleanup of all of our bylaws, specifically from about 1969 to current, and we're about 75% complete, but we'll have more to follow again in Q3. So that's about it.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Legree?
Through you, Mayor Sidney, I'm not sure if the clerk wants to take this. Just a question on B-City app. So I put a concern through on that, but I didn't get anything back. So I'm just wondering how it works. Like, I didn't get an email saying I submitted something. I didn't get anything back saying it was fixed or somebody was looking into it. I'm just wondering, and if you don't have the information now, I'm just wondering how that works. If a resident puts something through on that.
Through University. My understanding with the B-City app is it is linked through our Access E11, which is our complaint database. It's the same one that is on our website. So if you are submitting a complaint through that system, it ties directly into our Access E11, which is received in on our end, it's categorized, and then it's sent out to the appropriate department and goes through the process of being reviewed, confirmed, and checked off. But I'll have to look at why either you didn't receive a notification. I do believe there's a checkbox that asks for notification back. So maybe that, and I know sometimes the crossover between like the website and an app doesn't always transfer, but we can take a further look and see why, and then maybe I can get more information about that after a council meeting.
Yeah, perfect.
But they should be linked, so.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions? Review?
Thank you. And I was surprised to hear about the election. We've never seen anything like that Yeah, been noticed any changes in council. Just wondering about the 950 boxes. How many more boxes, out of curiosity?
Through you, Mayor Sidney. Not sure I want to answer that question. I would say this has been an ongoing project for the last couple of years. Records management certainly has been handled differently in the past, and at this point we are trying to categorize an inventory and then obviously follow the legislative requirements for records retention. I would say that out of the 950 that were done, the Q2 ends the end of June. I would say there's probably been another 500 to 600 done in the following that, and that's just in our one location, as we do have multiple facilities. So at this point we want to ensure that we have an inventory of it, and then obviously go through proper disposal processes and ensure that we're meeting all of our criteria.
Review.
So 2 questions. Have we given some thought to the AMO intern program to see if we can get an intern to do some of that? Or should we look at putting money in the budget and bringing in, you know, a team of 1 or 2 people as opposed to doing it summer student to summer student to summer student? Because that seems to me like it's going to take a long time. Thank you.
Clerk.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. I love the idea of the internship program, and I would reach out to you after this meeting to find out for more information. I certainly think that we do need to look at and potentially prioritize some money in the budget, not only for the staff resourcing of that, but also a simple thing of disposal. I will say that one thing that was cut in the 2025 budget, not quite realizing at the time, is just even the shredding costs associated to getting rid of 1,000. Well, I'm not saying that 1,000 boxes are getting rid of, but I'm just saying upwards of anywhere from 100 to 500 boxes alone can cost a significant amount to shred too. So there's things that we have to look at, but records management is always one of those things that it's ongoing, but certainly when you are taking a look and doing a changeover like we are, then extra resources are beneficial even for short term.
Possible, Your Worship, you could write a letter to Minister Flack suggesting the need for more modernization money, and point to that and maybe a couple of other examples of where we could seek provincial investment by writing a letter today, meaning this, you know, in this next little while. Then that plants the seed for probably a delegation in January at Roma, and then if you have a chance to converse with your peers or the CAO or the clerk, there likely is other municipalities who need a reinvestment of modernization money.
Absolutely, I can do that. CAO, you can add that to the reminder. Perfect. Any other questions? I just have one thing about the B-City app. I just want for the public to know, I think it's fantastic. You know, it's not just an app that, you know, tells you when the parties are. It's, you know, you get emails that updates on the construction. You get all of these things. So not to put our communications coordinator on the spot, but maybe if we did another burst out about it, now that we've been talking about it, more people might do it, because I think it's a great thing to have, and you're connected with the town instantly, so it works really, really well. Any other questions for anybody? Councillor Legree?
Through Mayor Sidney, just we're at the end of this, just comment, I guess. I just want to thank the directors for putting this together. These quarterly reports are great for the public to see what's going on. I even look at it, and you know, I'm sitting here almost every day and I don't realize all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. It's easy for council to make some decisions and we walk away, but it's the staff and their team that has to put all this together. So it's a good snapshot of, I know this is not everything, there's a lot more that goes on, but it gives the public the understanding of what's going on. So thanks.
Anybody else? thank you very much, staff, for doing this and letting us know what's been going on in the stats. I think it's great that we get to share it with the public, so thank you very much. Moving on to announcements and community events. Any announcements or community events? Councillor Degree?
Through Mayor Sidney, I just have two announcements. The first one is that the Renfrew Public Library is planning for the future with programs, services, and priorities, and they would like to hear from the residents. There is a quick survey currently opened on social media that I would encourage everyone to go and fill out. And then the second one is just a reminder that the Renfrew Downtown BIA still has the music in the square going on Friday evenings right here at Low Square. The music is great. There's lots of vendors set up, and there's only 3 more Fridays left, so I'd encourage everyone to get out and check it out if you haven't already. Thanks.
Great, thank you. I just have one too that go along with the music down at Low Square on the Friday. Next Friday, the 22nd, I would really encourage the community to come out at 5 o'clock. There will be a special presentation done with our Special Olympics softball team. It's pretty cool for people to come and watch. So at 5 o'clock at Low Square, we will be doing a presentation to them, and they're congratulating them on being 3rd in the province at the tournament. So I hope people can come out for that. All right, Revimo.
Thank you. Your Worship, you and I had the occasion to attend the celebration of life for Mayor Rayanne Briscoe. So Mayor Briscoe was the mayor of Amherst Bromley, next door to the town of Renfrew, and a great friend to the town of Renfrew for many years. She grew up here as a child and then went off to become a teacher and then married and ended up farming in Amherst Bromley. When I say farming, I mean a milking operation and some organic farming. Mayor Briscoe collaborated with then Mayor Hines and myself and Mayor Johnson to form the Renfrew Area Health Services Village and with the Renfrew Industrial Commission, which attracted 14 doctors to the community when the community was desperately in need of them. That is just one example of her efforts to assist the whole community and not think of just the community and her community being either agriculture or the Amherst Bromley. She also was fairly instrumental in putting together the current township as she was part of the amalgamation. Her and I have jokingly called them in the past the amalgamation wars, but it was the amalgamation efforts. And she has kept a very strong eye on local politics. Many of us have received an email or a telephone call after a meeting. I think YouTube council meetings were built specifically for her after some of her mobility had passed. And so she kept a very close eye on probably 5, 6, or 7 municipalities. And I know as warden, we received many a question, sharply worded, about what we had accomplished or not accomplished. And so I think she'll be dearly missed by her community and her family. And, I think it's a sad time for us, but at the same time, it's a time to pause and reflect. Too often in municipal business, we don't look back at the efforts that were taken to get something done or move something along. We just seem to shelve it and move on. And so I think her efforts and her sacrifice and her vision should be mentioned. Thank you.
And just to add to that, to hear the stories, and just for council, I might take appreciation to this, being mostly new. When she was elected mayor the first time, within 3 weeks, she had to deal with the ice storm of the century. So that was her, initiation into becoming the mayor 3 weeks in. So she's definitely a force to be reckoned with, and she did some great things. So it was great to attend that. Anything else? No? Okay. Moving on to Committee of Adjustment, to Committee of the Whole. The Renfrew Town Council convened in Committee of the Whole to consider reports for recommendation to Council. Mover, please. Councilor McDonald, second by Revimo. All in favor? We are now in Committee of the Whole. Development and Environment, Huntergate Phase 3. That the Committee of the Whole recommend that Renfrew Town Council. Or do we want the report first? The That the Committee of the Whole recommend that Renfrew Town Council pass a bylaw to lift a 1-foot reserve in Hunter Gate Subdivision Phase 3, 49M-78. Mover, please. Councilor McDonald, second by Councilor Legree. And I will now turn it over to Director Withers.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and through you. So this is 1-foot reserves are commonly taken by municipalities to regulate future phase developments within subdivisions, essentially to prevent the situation where you have a future phase and a building permit is issued inadvertently, highly unlikely situation, but a 1-foot reserve prevents even the possibility of that happening. They've been taken on each phase of the Hunter Gate subdivision, and just through land sales and property transactions, it's been identified that there are a few of them that were not actually either transferred to the municipality or they were transferred and not properly assumed into the road system. So this particular reserve is owned by the town, just has not been assumed into the road system, needs to be done by bylaw and registered on title. So we'll get that cleaned up, subject to council's decision on the matter. And then there are a few other reserves that are actually part earlier phases, even older than phase 3. And those are actually still currently owned by the developer. So this is kind of the stuff you don't see with a subdivision, or even if you were to do a title search on a particular property. This is just kind of very, very granular details that get caught from time to time by legal, and so we're just bringing that forward to clean it up. Thank you.
Any questions? Review.
So when you say register on title, that doesn't mean that each one of the residents are separate property owners in that subdivision or the other subdivisions that have to worry about sudden legal costs as their title might change. This is registered on title to us. Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you, Council. On to drink water quality management standards. That the Committee of the Whole recommend that Renfrew Town Council rescind the drinking water quality management standards policy. Mover, please. Councilor McDonald, seconded by Councilor McWhorter. And I will hand it over to Manager Springer.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. So the operating authority of a drinking water system must have a drinking water quality management standard, or DWQMS policy, in order to meet the requirements of a DWQMS. Since 2024, Aqua has been the sole operating authority of Renfrew's drinking water system. Therefore, it has been determined this policy is no longer needed. Should the town reassume the role of operating authority at any point in the future, we would have to readopt the policy. So the options are to rescind the policy, which is being recommended, and an alternative option would be to rescind and replace the policy. So since Aqua is fully responsible for the DWQMS, we don't require the policy. Aqua has their own policy that satisfies element 2 of the DWQMS. If council chooses, an alternative policy could be in place that reflects Aqua's operating capacity and the town's commitment to, as the system owner, to comply with applicable legislation, regulations, and other things related to the supply and distribution of drinking water. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to Finance and Corporate Services. That Committee of the Whole received the Kinetic GPO report as information. Mover, please. Councilor McDonald, second by Councilor Legree, and I will hand it over to Acting Treasurer Mitchell Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney. For Council is a information report. As Council is aware, Section 10 of our procurement policy permits cooperative purchasing. I'll read a little snippet from the policy. The town may participate with other levels of government, municipalities, boards, agencies, commission, or public sector entities where such plans are determined to be in the best interest of the town. The purchasing procedures and policies of the government agency or public authority initiating the procurement process will be followed. So in August 2023, it was a Corporate Services and Economic Development Committee, had a representative from Canoe Procurement here through LAS. They outlined a tendering process where there are tender sought by LAS or Canoe. It goes through the process. They review bids. They award these goods or services to these companies. And then municipalities are able to actually access these tendered prices without going through the full procurement process if deemed in the best interest of the town. So with that, the town is always looking for ways for cost efficiencies and time efficiencies, and another group purchasing organization known as Kinetic GPO was found by the town of Renfrew, and this report is just outlining and informing council that the town is going to register and enroll with them and use them in the same manner that we use Canoe currently. It's a good way to check rates, check pricing, check current pricing, as well as kind of compare, check the market anyways when budgeting. So yeah, with that, I'll happily answer any questions.
Councillor Agree?
Through you, Mayor Sidney. So just so I'm clear, so both companies would take it, go out and bring back their best price to us? Is that like for everyone, that we'd send it out to both, or Canoe and?
Thank you, through you. Yeah, in a nutshell, we would use it to check the pricing, but essentially these organizations have already done the tenders, and there's like a standing offer list, for lack of better terms, sitting there for office supplies, for tires. So a good example is there's a local corporation that sells tires and does tire changes. Well, their parent company actually has been awarded a contract through GPOs or group purchasing organizations like Kinetic and Canoe, and we are able to access the bid pricing through the local organization because the parent company has been awarded so we're able to still kind of keep it local while still accessing the prices that have been bid on by the larger corporations.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Review?
So my impression is that they don't deal in gasoline, diesel, propane, electricity, and maybe not insurance. Is that an accurate recital?
Thank you, through you. Last I checked, I didn't see many of those vendors through there, but from my understanding, those organizations are growing and the markets are growing. So as of today, I'm not aware of those industries being through there, but it's more of a goods and services outside of those utilities and such.
Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to legislative services. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's already on it, that's why. Moving on to emergency services. That the Committee of the Whole recommend that Renfrew Town Council approve the request of public parking on Veterans Memorial Boulevard from September 4th to September 7th, 2025 during the Renfrew Fair. Mover, please. Councilor McDonald, second by Councilor McWhorter, and I will turn it over to Chief Guest.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to all of Council. This is a brief report in regard to a request from the Renfrew Agricultural Society to seek Council's approval to allow temporary parking on Veterans Memorial Boulevard, more specifically between Bar Street and Coombs Lane. As Council is aware, under Part 2, Section 8 of our parking bylaw, which was adopted in June of this year, Council may temporarily permit parking in otherwise restricted areas. I should note that as per Council's direction from 2024, staff would also request additional signage be temporarily installed along the boulevard. Thank you.
Any questions? And just for the people that are watching at home, I just want to clarify that when we say parking on Veterans Memorial Boulevard, it does not mean in the center of Veterans Memorial Boulevard. It's on the side by Queen Elizabeth School. Correct? Okay. Review.
To the director, do we know, through you, your worship, do we know if they have made arrangements with Queen Elizabeth Public School to use their parking lot? That's been a traditional parking area, and I've heard a rumor that that might not be true, but the rumor might not be true as well.
Thank you, and to Mr. Mayor, to the Reeve. I can certainly reach out and get some clarification on that.
Thank you. I just was worried about more congestion.
Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to Legislative Services Council Relations. That the Committee of the Whole received the Preventing Auto Theft Grant Project Update Report as information. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Legree. I will turn it over to Director Eric.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. So just a kind of a quick follow-up on the establishment of the working group. It was at the request of council. We did go ahead and provide a working group that was dealing strictly with this this grant and kind of the path forward that council would like to see. This is in partnership with Admiston Bromley. The group has met about 3 times since early May just to review the initial kind of scope of the project. There has been changes that were made based on legislation and the broadening of the scope of what the intent of that funding actually can be used for. Through discussion, formal request has been submitted to the ministry to reallocate some of the funds that were provided to see if we can incorporate other community safety elements. Those are listed in the report that's attached to the agenda, some of that being hazard and community safety signage for motorists, radar speed signs, carbon monoxide and fire safety education tools, as well as community bike rally days. So the idea is to use some of the funds that are no longer applicable and apply them to other areas. However, the primary focus of the grant still remains the installation of the CCTV cameras, which are to be installed to prevent auto theft as well as other violent crimes. We are awaiting a response from the ministry, so I don't have much update from that standpoint. However, we have talked with the contractor that was initially hired with regards to the cameras. They are seeking kind of further clarification on the actual costs of the installation of the cameras and the locations that were previously brought forward to council and identified. And we're awaiting kind of final costing on that. And if it fits within the allocated budget that was already associated, then that portion of the project will continue to move forward.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing, seeing none. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to the next. That the Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council establish a Knights of Columbus Park Working Group and approve the proposed terms of reference as presented with direction to staff to bring forward the corresponding bylaw for adoption. Mover, please. Councillor McWhorter, seconded by Councillor Legree. Turn it over to Director Eric.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Sidney. So based on the resolution that was passed at council on July 8th, a request was made to establish a working group in collaboration with the Renfrew Rotary Club for the revitalization of the Knights of Columbus Park, which is located at 704 6th Street. Since that has taken place, I have reached out to the Rotary Club and expressed kind of the intent of what we're looking to do and the establishment of the working group. They are fully on board and would like to get started as soon as possible. So basically, I've brought this information forward. I've outlined the working group's terms of reference to give kind of an idea of what the working group is looking to do and accomplish. Kind of the main background is that the Knights of Columbus Park, like I said, it's on 6th Street, has been identified as a community park in 2024 based on an inspection of part of the play structure. It has been removed as there was safety concerns. So there is opportunity now to take a look at that park, determine what the overall usage and, like what would suit that area and those needs. And I think having the working group to kind of work through and brainstorm some ideas and then bring that back to council is a fantastic way to kind of move this forward, especially when we have a community partner that would like to participate. We have been trying to connect with the Knights of Columbus as well and seeing if we can kind of connect in so that everybody is working on kind of a common goal.
Any questions? Hearing, seeing none. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to the Office of the CAO. That the Committee of the Whole received the corporate work plan and council assigned task update report as information. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Legree, and I will turn it over to our CAO.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. So the 2025 corporate work plan was approved on February 25th of 2025 and at the Committee of the Whole, and then Council formally on March 11th. With this, it was mentioned that there would be some regular reporting back to Council as to the status of the work plan, and so you will find attached what has been managed to be accomplished in the first 6 months of the year, plus any amendments that needed to occur. You will note that there were 7 items that were listed that needed to adjust their timelines for various reasons, and there were also 2 objectives that we had to adjust the team members on due to organizational changes. So right now in this report, you'll see that they're still in the original location. With the next one, it will be amended to reflect those changes. I just wanted to make it obvious this time so you could see those adjustments. In addition, we have a second report that's attached that focuses on January to May, various resolutions that were passed by Council of additional tasks that might have been originally outside of the work plan that had taken additional time on staff that may have impacted maybe some of the timing on the work plan items, but are also still in progress. So I wanted to make sure that Council was aware those have not dropped off our list. They are still being tracked and monitored for completion dates, and we do have reports and information as to projected timelines for those. This will be something that I'll be doing twice a year for Council as well, so the next one you'll probably see either December meeting or the January for the full last half of the year.
Any questions from Council? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Council. That Renfrew Town Council rise from the Committee of the Whole. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Degree. Any other questions? All in favor? That's carried. We are now out of Committee of the Whole. Moving on to boards and committees. Renfrew Power Generation Q2 Stakeholder Summary Report. Councillor Degree, do you want to add anything?
Through you, Mayor Sidney. So I sit on RPG board along with Councillor Dick. The report attached is for Q2, which runs from April 1st to June 30th. I'll just highlight a few quick things from the report. The generation for Q2 was up above target with the necessary flows, continuous intake, rack cleaning, and water level management. Generation was maximized for this quarter, which is good. The weather event at the end of June produced a lot of rain in a very short time. RPG completed many dam operations at Lake Clear, Round Lake, and Golden Lake to get the water levels to decline. Water levels did go above the limit on Golden Lake, but no system issues were reported to RPG. Plant 1 in town here, repairs to the roof is being completed by IRVCon. There was no environmental issues for the quarter. And then also in Q2, RPG had their annual AGM meeting. So Tom Freemark was appointed director position for another 3-year term. Leo Hall will remain as secretary treasurer for 2025. And Ted Young was appointed as the new chairpersons for 2025. And finally, we continue to lobby the provincial government along with Mississippi Mills and Bone Shore Valley Townships to get an extension to our current power purchase agreement until our redevelopment finance is retired, at which point we would switch to the new small hydro program. And then next week, Mayor Sidney and myself with the other 2 municipalities will be at the AMO conference trying to get our point pushed across. So thank you.
Any questions? Seeing none. Moving on to no items for consideration. Correspondence items for information. Those are for information. If council wants to, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Regarding the H4 correspondence from Ms. McCormick, I'd like to put a motion on the floor.
Okay.
To direct staff, or something along this line, I'll ask the clerk for assistance, to direct staff to respond directly to Ms. McCormick and provide a report back to the council regarding this correspondence and the follow-up email correspondence that was received today.
Good. Give our clerk a minute here.
Through you, Mayor Sidney, just for clarification to Councillor McDonald, so in addition to responding to the correspondence attached to the agenda, which is dated July 17th, you'd like also one to correspondence dated August 12th? Is that?
Yes, that's correct. We received it just before coming in for council.
Through you, Mayor Sidney, and assuming that council is going to forward us a copy of that?
Yes.
I think I already have.
Okay.
Through you, Mayor Sidney, so if the motion, if I'm understanding correctly, is that Renfrew Town Council directs staff to provide written response to Ms. McCormick in relation to her correspondence dated July 17, 2025 and August 12, 2025 in relation to Bar Street.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you. Yes.
Perfect. So moved by Councillor McDonald. Do I have a seconder? Revimo. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Any other stuff about correspondence? We're good? Okay. Moving on to confirmation of minutes. The Renfrew Town Council confirmed the minutes of the regular and special meetings of council dated July 8th, 2025 and the closed meeting minutes of July 8th, 2025, understanding that they remain confidential. Mover, please. Councillor Legree, second by Councillor McWhirter. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Council. We have no resolutions. Moving on to bylaws. That the bylaws listed on the agenda of August 12, 2025 be read a first, second, and third time and passed. 70-2025 appoint Andrew Hodge as the treasurer of the corporation of the town of Renfrew. 71-2025 amend bylaw number 27-2024 to enter into a lease amendment and extension agreement with Raytheon Canada Limited. Mover, please. Councillor Legree, second by Councillor McWhirter. Any discussion on these? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to motions of which notice has been previously given. First one. That Renfrew Town Council directs staff to bring forward the identified traffic control plan for Veteran Memorial Boulevard, specifically from 6th Street to the traffic lights at the corner of Hall Avenue and Raglan Street South and Veteran Memorial Boulevard, and further the consideration for the additional line painting and signage be added to the Mayor's 2026 budget considerations. Moved by Councillor McWhirter, seconded by Councillor Legree. Councillor McWhirter, do you have anything to add?
No, I'll just briefly, I'm pretty sure everybody realizes what goes on at that corner. An example is just last weekend I saw a transport who meant to be in the right lane get caught in that lane. And then thank you to the good graces of the residents of Renfrew. They were kind enough to let him in and get onto the main street. I think going that way towards Confusion Corner, if there was better signage further back, something bigger maybe on the side of the road with a sign, but also with the left turning there. And also going the other way on when you get up towards 6th Street, getting off the 4 lanes, there's also an issue. You need a bigger sign that shows merging to the right. Because just the other day I saw someone get smoked into the side of their car. Somebody didn't realize they were beside them. They tried to get over, and there was an accident. I think that a lot of that could be taken care of with the proper signage. We all know where that turn is, but I'm thinking more for people traveling through Renfrew, especially in the summer months. We get so many tourists going through. I think it would be a savings for and safety issues. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? I'm just going to make a comment. I'm happy to see this. My wife will actually probably agree that I say this regularly, that this should be back further, because if you want to know who's not from Renfrew or used to Renfrew, just go sit there on a Friday, and you will definitely understand that pretty quick. So I think this is a good one. So, thank you. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. On to L.2. That Renfrew Town Council direct staff to bring forward a consideration report on removing the left-hand turning capability at the intersection of Raglan Street South and Renfrew Avenue as identified in the town's master transportation plan. Moved by Councillor McWhorter, seconded by Councillor Legree. Councillor McWhorter, do you have anything you want to add?
I think it's pretty straightforward. It is identified in the master plan. I'd just like to see it sooner than later. Thank you.
Perfect. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to L.3. That Renfrew Town Council directs staff to bring forward an information report on the historical progression of the Renfrew tourism ambassadors and their reallocation from the Visitor Information Center to the McDougall Mill Museum, and further that the staff be directed to identify the current use of the Visitor Information Center. Moved by Councillor McWhorter, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Councillor McWhorter?
Just briefly, I've always wondered why we moved our tourist ambassadors. I understand the time that it was open was maybe not conducive to actually getting people in. Over this summer alone, I've had numerous people come up to me. Sometimes I use that as my meet point for going for rides and stuff. And while sitting there, I've been asked why we're not open. People go to the door, try the door, especially since we have a dumping station there. I think that's, I mean, it's a brand new building. It's kind of going to waste, not being used as the for our tourism ambassadors. I think it's better to have them where you can find them than have them on a back street than with a museum. I've never agreed with that. I've never hidden that from anybody that I didn't agree with that move, but I think it would be better served for the public to have them where they can find them, and that's a busy corridor, and it's you have all kinds of tourists going through there, and I think it'd be better to have them there than at the museum on a side street. Just my opinion. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Review?
I'm just wondering if Councillor McWhorter would consider a slight amendment which would allow the addition of volunteers to supplement the student ambassadors throughout the year, but specifically during the summer months, because normally we'd end up with one day.
Absolutely.
I'll make that as an amendment if anybody would care to second it.
Do we have a seconder to that amendment? Councillor Legree?
Sorry. Somebody just off my through you, Mercy. Just so I'm clarifying, you're adding volunteers, so adding the word volunteer?
Yes, using volunteers to supplement the work of student ambassadors.
Sorry, through you, Mayor Cindy, just to clarify, I believe that we're looking for an information report. Based on the original motion was to provide an information report on the reasoning why the tourist ambassadors were relocated, and that to identify the current use. Would it be possible to note within the minutes that in writing the report that maybe that become an option in support versus?
Sure, makes sense. Thank you. That I withdraw the amendment.
Okay. All in favor of the original motion? It's carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to L4. That Renfrew Town Council directs staff to, 1, review the effectiveness of the town's current crack filling program with particular emphasis on roads that have been repaved or received new pavement within the last 1 to 5 years. The review should include an analysis of the cost of crack filling in relation to the potential extension of the asset's lifespan and provide a consideration report to council based on this evaluation. And 2, prepare a consideration report for potential inclusion in the upcoming Mayor's 2026 budget to recommend proposed changes to the disposal policy for fleet and small equipment as outlined in the asset management plan. Moved by Revimo, seconded by Councillor Legree. Revimo, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, the worry for me has been that we've done a lot of construction in the last 5 to 10 years, and you see some of the older roads, 4 years and older, who are suffering significant cracks, and they seem to be widening over the years, and I'm just worried about degradation, and suddenly the town finding that instead of getting 20 years out of the pavement, or 25, they only end up with 18 or 15, and it would have a significant impact on future councils, but also on the ability to proceed with the asset management plan. So that's the issue about number one. And number two, you know, our trucks aren't driving hundreds of thousands of kilometers. It takes a while to get that. When I look at some of the vehicles that are being turned over by other municipalities, some of their larger stock has 500,000 or 600,000 kilometers. Some of their smaller fleet stock have 340 or 400,000 kilometers. So ours have some very specific numbers and times in them, and so just wondering to stretch it out to try and get as much life out of the vehicles, and thus not as much strain on the asset management plan.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Council. And moving on to L.5, Councillor McDonald. That Renfrew Town Council directs staff to bring forward a report by the fall of 2025 on the process for preserving heritage properties under the Ontario Heritage Act, including a current inventory of heritage properties designated or listed under the Ontario Heritage Act, and further that staff outline the work to be undertaken in 2025 and 2026 for the preservation of heritage properties. Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor McWhorter. Councillor McDonald, do you have anything you want to add? Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. The background to this is on Tuesday, the 24th of June, 2025, members of the Heritage Renfrew attended as a delegation to Council. The following Council meeting on Tuesday, the 8th of July, 2025, members of Heritage Renfrew again attended to provide comments at the public meeting for the Committee of Adjustments regarding a minor variance application to 247 Bar Street, Renfrew. As we were informed, this town is rich with history, and I'd like to see how we can actively protect this. And the purpose of this motion is to provide accountability and transparency to the public. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Oh, sorry.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. And just to Councillor McDonald, correct me if I'm wrong, there was an additional piece that you were wishing to add to the agenda that gave your explanation, correct? That might have been originally missed on the agenda?
Thank you, yes.
Okay, so just for clarification to the public and other members of council, I will be attaching to the post agenda an additional document which just basically highlights Councillor McDonald's explanation, but just for public record.
Review.
And I like the idea, but I also like conservation authorities until we have one. And so as we're doing this, I hope we pay attention to the Planning Act and combine that, but also I've been aware of situations in other municipalities where the heritage program becomes so hidebound that should there be a building that's in obvious distress, they can't do anything with it. So if we can maintain some flexibility at the end of the day, and I know that puts pressure on council to maybe be the final arbitration board, but I think that there has to be a balance. Perfect word. So thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions, comments? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. Any notices of motion? Seeing none, we have no close, so confirmatory bylaw. That Renfrew Town Council adopt the confirmatory bylaw 72-2025 that has been read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Mover, please. Councillor McWhorter, second by Councillor Degree. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Upcoming meetings of council, a regular council meeting of August 26th. It will be starting at 5 p.m. It's a time change. Again, that has to do with our successful Special Olympic softball team. They will be coming to council. And our Economic Development Advisory Committee, September 9th, 2025 at 10 a.m. And once we adjourn this meeting, we will come out of recess of the closed meeting that we had this morning. So we will just turn this off and turn it back on. So with that, we are adjourned at 7:02.